We are amped on this edition of the Equity.Guru Investor Roundtable. Got some fresh blood in the basement, by the way. That's Joseph Morton down here living in the dungeon. Chris Perry's in the far corner looking contemplative. And Vishal is directly above us as we talk about amped ventures. They're amped ventures, they're amped tech, they're just amped. And it's a tech company that provides cloud and computing solutions to gaming and digital media companies in Canada and the United States. They are AMPD on the Canadian Exchange, and Anthony Brown is the boss man based in Vancouver, and Chris Perry knows all kinds of things about them.
Yes, downtown Anthony Brown and I go way back. I've got a lot of cash in this company and have for the last couple of years. It hasn't always been up. It blasted out of the gates, got completely screwed over by a certain broker at a certain brokerage that rhymes with smirch schmapital. But and then it got sort of really screwed over by a guy that rhymes with Sheldon Inwintosh. But anyway, or might have really rhymed really closely with that. Look, Amped is the metaverse. Amped was the metaverse before the metaverse started becoming a quaint phrase, before Facebook plunged its big dumb head into the middle of the pond and blew the water out of it. The metaverse was essentially Ready Player One, the Steven Spielberg movie. The next iteration of the internet. In a nutshell, the internet as it stands right now is one-way traffic. You click on something and the service sends you the information you want. You want to watch Downton Abbey? Here comes the video file. You want to listen to Spotify? Here comes the music. What you don't have is the ability to go both ways with the same bandwidth. And that stops you from having the Netflix of video games, where instead of having to download a video game, you could play it online through a central server, right? So currently, if you play online video games, you're just sending commands. You're not sending like your video footage to someone else who then sends their video footage, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, Amped is basically trying to create the next form of the internet, high performance computing, where you have enough bandwidth that you can send whatever the hell you want across the way. Think of it as 5G, but not for cell phones, 5G, but for everything. And so in order to do that, you're basically rebuilding the internet. It takes some time, requires a bit of tech, requires a bit of software, requires a bit of money. And they've been going through that growth phase of putting all of those things together. What they've also done is shown growth in their client base, right? They've got video game rendering companies. They've got AI companies, all the things that people said, when Bitcoin goes away, we'll just move all our Bitcoin farms into rendering video and animation and AI. Hey, guess what? Ants are already doing it. They're already getting those customers. And those customers are giving them the ability to make sure that what they've built actually works. Now they're also starting to push into virtual movie production, where instead of building a Wild West town, you put your actors in the middle of a giant LED screen loop that runs video game engine software to create the Wild West town around them and light them from that screen, saving millions of dollars, months of work, and allowing people, if they want to do reshoots, to just go, and we're back. So this is a big deal. Also, volumetric capture of virtual reality. So right now, if you want to do a virtual reality version of an NBA game, you need 35 cameras around the stadium that people can move beyond click, click, click. It's not exactly VR. Volumetric is when you basically have a system that registers what's happening on the stage and then rebuilds it in virtual reality, the depth of things, the 3D nature of things. Very early tech. Maybe it might take years for it to get to anything, but that's the stuff that they're into. They're acquiring things. They just acquired the Departure Lounge. They're building a project with a university in terms of creating the metaverse workforce. There's a lot of really interesting stuff here. But the problem is when they do a deal with somebody, when they sell the tech, when they sell access to the system, the one thing that their clients never want is to share the finances of that deal. And so every time they get a new one, they're like, oh my God, this is great. We've got this video game production house that's on our system. for a really good price. And the market goes, so you got to wait till the money comes out, till the actual financials come out. Well, the financials, they came out just recently. 1.7 million bucks in revenue in Q3, which was December to February, which is 275% increase over the year before. 2.3 million in revenue year to date, which is also up, doubling the same period in the last year. 900,000 bucks in forecast revenue in Q4. So that's going to add that, move it up to 3.2. And that's just the forecast. That doesn't take into any other growth that comes in or clients that renew. They're basically saying that they've doubled revenue in the last year, and they're creating all this tech that is in a really hot sector, and their competitors are Facebook, So even though the shitty market means it's been really hard for them to get their damn share price up, and the share price, when it did get up, it got the rug pulled out from it from an investor who doesn't need to be named again. So every time they get up to a certain point, which is about 17.5 cents, the selling continues. So there's going to be a little time where AMPed is just not going to be a buy, because it's not going to go above that ceiling that someone else, that unnamed party, is hitting every time it gets to that point. But when that unnamed party is done with its shenanigans, and this company finally, for the love of God, gets the ability to just float on its own good news, I'm very, very keen to see where that 17.5 cents can get to, because it's been at 50 cents recently. It's been at 40 cents recently. It's just, you got to, unfortunately, you're a small size tech company. You require a lot of financing to grow. Sometimes you get into business with guys who have an insane reputation for rug pulling, and then go out and do exactly what they're going to do.
You know what I'd love to see in that interactive tech thing? I would love to see someone like Apple actually being to respond to their customers in real time, or plug in, fill in the blank, any one of the major tech companies that were, instead of having to go through nightmare rigmaroles of trying to get things done in terms of interaction. That would be a neat use of the technology. But surely, not to call you Shirley, I digress. The wealth of knowledge from Chris Perry there is eaten into your time, Joseph, but you did write the article, and you can maybe put it in a sector perspective.
All right, in a nutshell, I'm probably going to surprise everyone listening in, and probably all three of you guys, but the more I learn about the metaverse, the less I think it's going to be a viable product in the future. I honestly have, because of the intrinsic cost of getting the equipment out, and the user experience, that they're really going to have to hit these high points, or it's going to go the way of 3D printing. That's what I really think about this. The deeper I get into it, because if you want to build out your own plot of land on Decentraland or the Sandbox, you need to understand a number of different highly technological points, like how do NFTs work? How do I buy them? Where do I buy them? How do I get them from OpenSea to my MetaMask account to the land plot, which I've bought with a different coin, which I had to buy elsewhere. And I just don't see it reaching a mass adoption point unless it manages to find a way to simplify this very complex, very niche way of doing things.
Yeah. You know where it'll happen? We at one point we were all excited for virtual reality and AR to take off. Virtual reality is never going to take off because I'm going to get kicked in the dick feeling. AR is not taking off because really nobody needs other than a Pokemon collector, nobody needs something bouncing in the corner of their office. What it's going to take is a video game platform that requires it, right? It's something where if I want my kid to have a skin that he wants, it's not a case of he just pays $1.50 and he's got the same skin as a million other people. It's going to be he's got the Armani exclusive 1 in 5 that requires an NFT to track, where it is and who it belongs to. It's going to be games that take the plunge to get out of one-way traffic and start being in two-way traffic, being world building. It can't happen right now because there's just not the bandwidth, right? So we're not going to get there with what we currently are playing with, but what we'll be playing with in 2 or 3 years, that's going to be another thing. The next Grand Theft Auto, is it just going to be the same old 2D graphics in a 3D world? Probably not. Like, if they're smart, they're going to take the next step to build something that can spread out into all facets of life.
Well, the question is, what's the catalyst for this kind of change? I mean, if you look at the history of the internet, a history of a lot of these growth technologies, usually what? Porn. People want to increase bandwidth to watch porn.
100% porn.
Yeah, probably will be. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, if you've ever seen virtual reality porn, it's coming.
Yeah.
I mean, no pun intended.
It's kind of boring.
Well,
Porn is the only thing that makes sense with VR to me.
yeah, we've opened a number of can of worms here.
Yeah, we did.
Michelle, charts on Amped.
Yeah,
Bring us back to center us out here.
For sure. Just very quickly before I look at the charts, I just want to highlight here at the earnings report here. Take a look at this, folks. Joseph Morton at Equity.Guru notes in the article. So how cool is that?
I read that.
Hit the big time.
There we go, man. You're on.
It's great they're watching us. It's great they're watching us give them free coverage.
Well, there we go, Joseph. That's pretty awesome there, man. Is the expert. Chris and Joseph are the expert in terms of the fundamentals here about this company. Again, a lot of can of worms, perhaps. What's that catalyst? But what I can tell you is on the charts, it looks actually quite positive in terms of a potential reversal. I think about a month ago, we were talking about this 10-cent sort of zone. I even had that box still drawn out. We did see a touch at 10 cents. Buyers stepped in, so that lows here has held. Usually, that's what you want to see when you're looking at a reversal. I have a whole bunch of these trend lines, which I've drawn out. And if you guys recall in the last video or investor roundtable, I talked about whenever a trend line breaks, the stock tends to have a nice, run, right? Obviously, when the downtrend is broken, we have a nice pop higher. When an uptrend is broken, we do have a pop lower. Another trend line has been broken. We are back above my moving average. We talked about a cup and handle type pattern in a previous video in terms of a reversal pattern, and that's what I'm seeing here. And yeah, the resistance is now at that 18.5-cent zone. We require a daily close above that. And once that daily close occurs, we have a new uptrend trigger. And you can see here in the past 2 trading weeks, we've attempted to close above that 18.5 zone. And we just cannot do it. Even today, on the day we're recording, we did tag it, but the sellers did step in. So it's looking hopeful actually here for a new uptrend breakout. And really, we just have to wait for the breakout. That's really all I can say. But things look positive. If we do close below 16 cents, then that would actually set up for another test lower at that 10-cent zone. But it's really now just about wait and see. And as Joseph mentioned, maybe it requires that catalyst. We've had a lot of news pieces, right, coming out in these past 2 weeks when we have been testing this resistance zone, but just not enough for the stock to break out. So
lots of partnership news, lots of reseller news and partner news, and that's all, like, it verifies that they're actually out there doing business. And I think that they're not losing a ton of money, right? They're sitting on a good wedge. They've got warrants out there when things actually do start to go in the right way. They're adding to their executive team. Like, it seems to me like the rubber is starting to hit the road, but they're being held underwater by persons unknown, and the trend patterns on the stock charts break down a bit when one big bully is at the table doing his own thing, right? This you can, if with the bigger company, you look at the general market, and there's much more of a stockholder base, and so the charts really start to play in, right? You start to play into the psychology of the market. Yep. But when maybe the company should be at 30 cents, but some motherfucker is out there just like tamping it down every time it puts its hands above the water.
Right.
Like that's called a go fuck yourself chart, and we're in the midst of that right now. Not to dismiss what you're saying, but this is a company that wants to be worth more.
Yeah.
Is really trying hard to be worth more.
from what
And
people-
it's sometimes it's just a waiting game to get that one guy out of the way, or have him just stop and give the damn company a little bit of faith and let it run.
That said, at this moment, with an extra $7,500 that I throw at you, are you going to spend it? Chris first.
You know, I've got a lot more money than that in this company, and have had since the first day it was on the market. I know this crew and I know what they're building, and I know that the longer I can keep in, the higher the chance that I'm going to end up with drug lord money at the end of it. But it's been a long road, right? And there's been a lot of days where I've just watched shenanigans happening with a company that has, unfortunately, a small base of shareholders. So one big guy comes in, wakes up, says, hey, I'm grumpy today, it hurts. One insider who's retiring and decides to cash in, it hurts. One brokerage house that says, hey man, let's raise some money at a really cheap price. And if you don't want to do that, then I'm going to short the crap out of you for the next couple of weeks. Hurts the price. So I am just, I think that with my 7,500, it's probably already in. It's probably already in at like 35 cents is the reality of it. Would I put more in right now? Yeah. If it dropped down to 10 cents again, Jesus, that's a gimme.
Yeah.
I'd put everything, I'd borrow money to put in at that price. At 17.5 cents, yeah, it's stupid. It's a $20 million market cap for a company that is one press of a button away from being 10 times that. The metaverse is the thing we all look at because it's like the easy sector to tie this to.
Mhm.
It's high performance computing, right? How many companies are out there right now that have AI products? Tons and more every day, right? In all sorts of industries. What do those people need? They need high performance computing. And the AWS systems that are out there are one size fits all. They don't really work. They're expensive when you start getting into high processor use. And so what AMPD is doing is the bespoke processor use. So is that if you're designing an AI product, but you don't want to go out and pay a fortune to Amazon for every time someone touches it, AMPD is where you're going, right? It's exactly built for you. And that is a harder thing to explain to retail. It's a harder thing to get people sexed up about because it's a company by company deal, right? It's not we're going to build a thing and then 100 million people are going to give us $10 for it. It's we're going to build a thing and we're going to sell it one company at a time. And sales will increase over time because it's monthly recurring revenue. You know, once you've got someone into this system, it's real hard to get them out, but you've got to get them in. And that's a 6-month process sometimes, right? You've got to get them out of someone else's system. So there's a lot here that I love. Would I tell someone to invest in it today? Nah, I not unless they've got a 2-year, 5-year outlook.
0. Joseph?
Well, in this case, this is a company I would look at with a 2 to 5 year outlook, and I would probably end up throwing about $3,500 at this because of they're more than just a metaverse company.
Yeah,
like they have a lot of different other options that they could potentially do and are doing with that recurring revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm looking to build a portfolio with a company which could theoretically maybe even double or triple once people get out of the way, that might be a good choice for me.
3,500 bones. The shell.
I like the technicals here. The fundamentals, again, it could be some ways away with that big catalyst release. I would be putting around 2K in here. If we break below and we head back to 10 cents, I would be looking to add a bit more there. Or alternatively, if we do actually break out on a technical basis and we do climb above 18.5 cents here, I would add some more there as well. So 2K right now, and now you just wait for a breakout in either direction, either buy in cheaper or you play the uptrend move.
Either way, the group is heavily invested.
When it goes, it's going to go.
It goes
It's just a case of whether it goes next week or next month or next year.
As Joseph just pointed out, there is a lot going on. It's pretty interesting, even for a novice. They got a boatload of things
Also,
happening.
not a client, but we do have a vested interest in the stock.
AMPD is AMPD on the Canadian Exchange. Anthony Brown, downtown Anthony Brown, as Chris mentioned. And the quote from the roundtable today would have to be, doodly doody de loop, which was the Chris Perry sound effect.
I thought it was the swear word that I dropped.
Yeah.
That I instantly went, oh, I said that.
We went doodly doodly doop. Please do your research and homework on AMPD. We can't guarantee any results. Anything that we've said is, of course, not guaranteed, because if it was guaranteed, we'd just go ahead and buy the Lotto 649 ticket tomorrow, and then we'd be all set. We wouldn't even be doing the show. We also can't guarantee future results based on past performance. Thank you, gentlemen. That's Joseph, Chris, Michelle. I'm Rob. We'll see you on the very next Equity Guru Investor Roundtable.